Ladies and gentlemen, you might think this is hyperbolic. There's no way that the videos from last night on Fox News gave Trump any victory in 24. I mean, people are going to forget about that. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm telling you right now, for a number of reasons, he very likely won 2024 because of last night and what's going to take place tonight. I have no clue what's taking place tonight, but I'm going to speak very slowly so the wonderful, morally superior, highly educated among us can comprehend what I'm saying. When you say that Trump lies, okay, when you try to proclaim and try to make this a huge selling point to vote Democrat, last night showed that the greatest liars, the most deceptive and dishonest people, are the ones who tell you a lie by omission. Trump engages in hyperbole, but we had record low poverty under Trump. Almost every demographic group had the highest ever household median income in 2019. If you look at the St. Louis Fed and you look at all the data and numbers, for every American in 2019, we had record low poverty, record highs in household median income, and we hadn't pumped $10 trillion into the economy because Democratic governors tanked their states and said, no, you can't function as a society because bureaucrats and media and the experts told us no more economy. So we didn't have 6 to 9% inflation with Trump. His policies worked. We had record low poverty in 2019. Nobody knows this. If Trump just makes that a big issue, there's definitely no way that anyone can defeat him. But we didn't have an invasion in Europe. We weren't, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, 90 seconds to midnight. It is objectively worse now without Trump in office. And if you don't think that, you're beholden to the lies and the lies by omission from media. Trump does not lie anywhere close to the public relations monstrosity leveled at him every single day, 24/7. Every second of the day, they're so desperate to have you dislike him, to have this, to create this contempt towards him, this distrust. They're so desperate. But it was a terrible day in January that I condemn. But it wasn't the day that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Paul Ryan and Never Trumpers, Kinzinger claim it was. It wasn't that day. It was a terrible day. I condemn that day. But there was also $1 to $2 billion in property damage that summer. And I support that summer why people demonstrated peacefully. H.A. Goodman supports why people demonstrated peacefully that summer. But there was 14,000 arrests that summer. How? No, not one tear from Adam Kinzinger for $1 to $2 billion in property damage and 19 lives lost. And then the Dobbs decision. Last year, we see churches and buildings torched to the ground. Vandalism, not one statement from Liz Cheney. And so you lie by omission and you control the emotional response. When your only goal is to show that Trump is a menace and you lie by omission, then you're no better than George Santos or Joe Biden. By the way, you could draw a T-chart and put Santos and Biden and see who's lied more. I don't know. You tell me. Was Biden arrested during the civil rights movement? You tell me. Did he meet with Hunter's business associates? Again, you would have to be living under a rock or not actually functioning as a human being to understand what's going on. Democrats do everything possible not to tell you the entire story because their policies, like their job performance, horrendous. The only thing they can claim is that Biden got a lot of legislation done. He had the House and the Senate. So what? What does that even mean? He had the House and the Senate. And the Inflation Reduction Act didn't work. Inflation's going back up. And all the money he's pumping tens of billions sending to protect democracy in Europe, there's still an invasion there. It happened under Biden's watch. In terms of foreign policy, it's been an absolute catastrophe. Domestic policy, crime is up. Everything is just, the sky actually is falling. We're 90 seconds to midnight, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. We're closer than ever. And hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Like I said, we'll have a live stream tonight, probably around 7 p.m. or so. It's about 7 p.m. we'll have a live stream. But you look, and it's like the Arizona and Georgia Republican parties that turned away from Trump, even they, and this is why 6 minutes in, this is why he is pretty much cemented 24. Even they understand that those lies are leveled at all Republicans now. The never-Trumpers who were on the fence with Trump, they see now that, okay, might not like Donald Trump, might not like his personality, but you're dealing with very deceitful, dishonest people who would rather lie by omission and paint, like, I have no clue. I have so much respect. I think Ken Burns is one of the greatest film, documentary, film people who've ever lived. He's fantastic. He's amazing. Today he's on, I think it was on CNN. It's a big, it's damaging to our democracy. I respectfully disagree. What is damaging to our democracy is not understanding the entire picture. You can still say January was terrible and still understand that, yes, people are being escorted into the building. Why, Mr. Kinzinger or Miss Cheney or Democrats? Why, Chuck Schumer, were people being escorted? Can anyone ask a question of our officials? Does anyone have is there any possibility for Democrats to explain why the Tucker Carlson footage exists? Does that mean you condone the mayhem? You certainly haven't condemned $1 to $2 billion in property damage, all the people who focus on that one day in January, and you had an unarmed woman's life taken. We might learn more about that tonight. I would hope all of these Hollywood liberals and film directors and all these people, did they ever once think about an unarmed woman whose life was taken, who was a supporter of Trump, who was unarmed? But they don't care. And so they care only about power and influence, and this is about emotion. That's why Hollywood understands, they understand editing, film editing. Ken Burns should understand film editing. He's a brilliant director and documentary filmmaker. I love his films. Doesn't he understand that editing can change an entire narrative? Of course January was bad and people condemn it. I condemn it. But it's not the whole... Chuck Schumer didn't tell you the whole story. Kinzinger and Cheney didn't tell you the whole story. So what do you expect now? People not to believe our lying eyes? Of course, what took place was terrible, but nobody was compelled by Trump's words or his claims. He can claim anything he wants. It has nothing to do with criminal acts. Do you want to know how I know categorically? Because he wasn't indicted. Say it slowly, wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats. Trump was not indicted or charged or prosecuted for January, and he never will be. Because we still have the First Amendment. Democrats are trying desperately to slice and dice it and erase it from the Bill of Rights, but we still have the First Amendment. They're going after the First and the Second Amendment. Then they're talking about Trump being an authoritarian. Actually, authoritarians have never had the First and Second Amendment in their dystopian worlds. Democrats are like the feel-good, nice authoritarians, actual authoritarians. And they will lie by omission. And yesterday, everyone, even people, this is the biggest fail for the Democratic Party, and it has nothing to do with exonerating or downplaying anything. Of course it was a terrible day, but it wasn't the day that they were talking about. Again, nuance. Nuance is the greatest enemy. Context is the greatest enemy of Democrats, because they cannot wield enough emotion. They cannot generate and foster and create enough negative emotions leveled at Trump if you understand the context of what's taking place. And they go after George Santos. Nobody lied more than Biden, and nobody lies and is more deceitful than media in general. Russell Brand, I love Russell Brand. He totally eviscerated and obliterated the media when he was on Bill Maher. And there's a more conscious now understanding. People are now understanding what's taking place. They're being lied to all the time. All the time. And now it comes down to policies. If Trump can just go ahead and focus on his policies and his job performance, it's game over. Make peace with the Arizona and Georgia Republican parties, and I think people can. I think these videos are the greatest reason or the biggest help to Trump making peace with the Georgia and Arizona Republican parties. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll have a live stream tonight at around 7 p.m. And be here in a couple of hours. We'll have some more videos on